Ladies and gentlemen, it's wonderful to have you with us today. My name is Tero Pesonen from TCC, and here with me I have the 3GPP SA Chair, Puneet Jain. Congratulations, first of all, you were elected for your second term. Wonderful to have you with us, and how are you doing today?
Thank you very much, Tero, and as always, it's a really pleasure to talk to you. I'm doing very well, and again, thank you for this opportunity. Yeah.
In March, we had the 3GPP 6G workshop, as well as the plenaries 107. So would you be so kind to brief us in what happened in those, and what are the things we should in particular pay attention to?
Yeah, so thank you. So one of the key things which happened in March was the 6G workshop. So this workshop was held in Incheon, Korea from March 10th to 11th. And it brought together a significant number of participants with over 1,600 registration and around 750 in-person attendees. And the purpose of this workshop for 3GPP members to present their vision and priorities for next generation of mobile technology, covering radio technologies, system architecture, core networks, and protocols. It received around 200 input contributions from operator vendors, academia, and other relevant stakeholders. And the key highlights, let me go through some of those key highlights from the workshop. One thing which we have observed is the motivation for 6G from various input contributions. The discussion highlighted that the need for 6G to support new services and use cases beyond the traditional communications, such as integrated sensing and communication, XR immersive communication, and AI-based services. Other key motivations include revenue growth and monetizations, leveraging new network capabilities, the implementation of AI and automation for network optimizations, and achieving greater energy efficiency and sustainability. Ubiquitous coverage through terrestrial and non-terrestrial network integration, reduction in the total cost of ownership, and improved service reliability and customer experience was one of the key motivations for driving 6G. As part of the workshop, basically, companies also looked at the lessons learned from 5G, so that basically that can be taken into consideration for 6G standards development. So some of the lesson considered, including a complexity of migration from non-standalone to standalone architecture, excessive architecture complexity in 5G, and slow adaptation of key capabilities, for example, network slicing. There was also realized the need for optimizing network functions and importance of well-dimensioning set of functionalities to reduce overall system design complexity. Then in terms of potential 6G technology areas, there are quite a bit of a discussions, and there was a summary that was generated in the end, but as you can understand that with so many diverse contribution, it would not be feasible to have a very comprehensive summary that's take everything into consideration, right? So basically, some of the potential 6G technology areas included the wide range of potential topics such as cloud native architecture, AI native design, scalability and modular design. So these are some of the design consideration. Then in terms of AI and 6G, the workshop explored the dual aspects of AI for 6G, which is using AI to enhance network operations, and 6G for AI, which is about designing the 6G network to natively support AI applications. Integrated sensing and communication was also identified as a key area for study. Energy efficiency and sustainability was emphasized in practically all the input contribution. The focus was on energy efficiency by design, not as an afterthought, which we had it in 5G, but from the day one as a design goal, energy efficiency should be considered, which includes addressing net zero targets, increased carbon awareness, and implementing sustainability AI KPI monitoring. The integration of computing and communication capability in the network was discussed, evolving from 5G communication-centric focus to support use cases like XR, AI/ML applications. The need for simplified framework for cross-domain data management was highlighted to address the complexity of data collection in 5G, and then overall 6G plan and timeline was discussed. Now, in terms of key points for critical communications, I want to highlight that the goal for designing networks, one of the things was about resiliency. So that means the goal of designing networks that are robust and can withstand various events, including operational errors, heavy traffic, disaster, and these were the fundamental aspects for consideration for 6G. This directly supports the reliability need for critical communications. Other thing was improved service reliability and customer experience, which is also paramount critical for important for critical communication services. Increased security, integrity, and privacies are required from day one in 6G with a focus on zero trust principle and post-quantum security measures. Protecting critical communications for evolving threat is essential. The workshop acknowledged the need to support mission critical services in 6G, building upon the capabilities developed in the previous generations. In terms of emergency services, 6G will need to support eCall and next generation 9111 or 112 services, including the potential impact of additional satellite access as an alternative for voice and text to emergency services. Support for critical communications and lawful intercept will also be necessary, which is a regulatory requirements for critical communication infrastructure. And last but not the least, ubiquitous coverage, including NTN. The goal for seamless integrating terrestrial and non-terrestrial network for ubiquitous coverage will enhance availability and reliability of critical communications, especially in underserved and disaster-stricken areas. So as you could see that the workshop resulted in quite a deep discussions among some of the potential areas that would be studied as part of upcoming 3GPP studies. Now, it is really important to highlight that you know, the workshop was just a starting point. There would be company contribution and company driven contributions would be required to ensure that some of these potential technical areas that are being discussed makes into the scope of a study that would be undertaken, because the workshop itself did not have a decision power, so there was no decision that was made. This was mainly a discussion platform for all the companies to basically put their views upfront, So I think a lot more work needs to be done, and that would be the next steps in 3GPP.
Excellent. So I think it's what I'm hearing. It's fair to say that the mission critical communication sector needs have been recognized and heard. However, it's about time to do the work then in the various working groups and with the various topics that they are realized. However, there appears to be a positive sentiment that yes, there's a point we are making about the reliability and availability and all those things.
Absolutely, yeah. So it is well recognized that mission critical services are important, and they will continue to play an important role in 6G, including all the emergency and regulatory services. But then as we start to work on these things, we need to make sure that the stakeholder and the participants do contribute so that these features can be essentially defined as part of the ongoing work.
So this is a call to everyone watching this interview in our sector. Please prioritize the work in 3GPP. That's the only way we can actually achieve these things and make the society safer. So sounds good so far. So what other guidance and what other things did happen?
Yeah, so immediately after this 2-day workshop, we had our regular plenary meetings. But since to fit the overall schedule, they were reduced to 3 days, and all the SA, CT, and RAN plenary correctly happened in parallel. Usually SA and CT plenary happens in a sequence. CT finishes in Tuesday and then SA starts. But this time, because we had to accommodate 2 days of 6G workshop, we had to basically organize the plenary meetings in parallel. As you mentioned earlier, the key highlight of one is we had a new leadership elections. I had an honor to be elected as an SA chair for the second term. And we had 3 new vice chairs that were elected for SA. And similar, there were also elections for RAN plenary as well as a CT plenary where the leadership was elected. Other thing was mainly about key thing was on the SA2 release 25G advanced prioritization exercise. So as part of that, there were 4 study items for release 20 on 5G advanced track that was approved. As you may remember, like for release 20, we have 5G advanced track as well as 6G study items track, right? So for 6G 6G, we have already a study from SA1 on 6G use cases and service requirements that's ongoing. And for release 20 SA2 study on 6G, which would be about architecture enhancements, that is targeted for an approval on June plenary this year. On 5G advanced, there were 4 studies that was approved. One on core network enhancement to support AI/ML, that's a phase 2. Then integration of satellite components in 5G architecture, phase 4, and architectural enhancements to support integrated sensing and communication. And fourth one is about energy efficiency and energy saving, phase 2. In addition to that, there was a guidance that was given to SA2 because there would be few more studies that will come for an approval in June plenary, and overall prioritization for release 25G advance will take place in June plenary. So it is expected that SA2 will basically will have a further discussion on remaining 5G advanced study items, and then we'll bring them for an approval in June. Now, if we have exceeded the total capacity of SA2, then we're likely to go for some prioritization and down selection in June plenary. So again, this is important from the mission critical community side, so that they are fully engaged in the discussions ongoing. Some of the topics that might be of interest would be on IMS resiliency services, as well as ISEC work, and also the satellite component work for the phase 4. So these might be some of the topics which might have a direct interest, but then there would be other topics like energy efficiency that might be of indirect interest to the mission critical community. So again, the call for action here is to get fully engaged and actively participate in these meetings to scope the work for 5G advanced track in release 20. One more thing I wanted to highlight is basically about, like I mentioned earlier about the workshop, right, on 6G. This was also discussed during the workshop, but since workshop did not have a decision power, it was further discussed during the plenary. And this was the idea about 6G principle on lean specification development. So this way, there was a multi-company contribution which came initially to the workshop and then followed into the plenary to endorse an overall principle in 3GPP to create a lean and streamlined standards for 6G, for example, by dimensioning an appropriate set of functionalities, minimizing the adoption of multiple options for the same functionality, and avoiding excessive configurations. And after discussions, this principle were endorsed in SA plenary, also I believe in CT plenary. So it is important to remember that we should have some learnings from 5G and try to basically minimize the options as much as possible, and only adopt them if it's really, really necessary, because this would reduce the overall system complexity, not just in terms of specification development, but also in terms of implementations and deployments. So I just wanted to highlight this one. And I believe the rest was just mainly the usual things where we had to approve the working groups, specifications, and the progress basically was discussed as well from all the working groups.
I suppose that all the work in the previous releases, so in 19 and so on, is proceeding just as expected, and well, the work really is in release 20 and beyond. I got a little bit of an impression that one would be looking forward to be able to kind of certify also 3GPP services in a more maybe rigid way than before. Did I notice that correctly, or was I just dreaming about something?
I'm not really sure about what you meant. So are you asking about certifying some services?
So most of all, the idea to reduce in terms of reducing the various options, and as a result, verifying that the outcome works in a certain way.
I think there is the principle is general at a very high level, right? So basically, like for example, in 5G, what we have seen is there were these many architectural options to begin with, like in non-standalone, standalone, but even within non-standalone, there were multiple options like option 3, 5, and etc., right? And not all of them were needed, but that required a considerable discussions during the standardization phase to basically discuss all those options. And on the radio side, there were multiple options and excessive configurations on the radio side, right? That also increased the complexity quite a bit. So the learning is basically that we should strive to minimize the options and look for a lean specifications development, so that basically not only the standardization aspect is less complex, but that would also helps for vendors in terms of implementing and building their products, and then actual deployment, so that during the deployments they would not have to look for all these different configurations. That simplifies the overall network operations. So the principle was basically looking from this angle, rather than trying to basically have some certification of certain services or things like that. Yeah.
Okay, very good. I think it's a very noble objective, probably likely to be rather difficult, considering that they're so nowadays 3GPP services are so versatile, and use cases are also quite different from vertical to vertical, and consumers and enterprises and societies and so on. But nevertheless, we would like to endorse the objective, and hope that we can find the best commonalities in all possible ways with that. Thank you very much, Pune, on this setup here. How do you see the next plenaries in June, and then the work continues? How do you see the coming months and weeks and months ahead of us?
Yeah, so June plenary has two key targets, and it's one of the going to be quite an important plenary meetings. The first one is basically to define the scope of 5G Advanced Release 20. And some of the projects, like in SA2, I mentioned 4 studies has been approved. The work is ongoing, and but SA2 will be working deeply now from now until the plenary on looking at overall release 25G advanced scope. And that work is ongoing going to be on SA2. So it's also important that companies interested actively participate in that discussion, because that is eventually going to be part of release 20, what we call as a 5G advanced package. Now in the plenary, this 5G advanced package would be discussed. Obviously, if we exceed the capacity of SA2, then we will have to go through some prioritization discussion, which usually can be quite stressful. Because if your favorite project is on chopping block, then you have to ensure that there is a good support and key consideration taken into account to make sure that that makes a part of the overall 5G advanced package. So that's going to be a very important discussion for the June plenary, where we will determine the overall scope and prioritization for release 25G advanced track. Then the next important thing that would happen is the approval of SA2 study on 6G, which will be about the 6G architectural, in general. And again, as we have quite a bit of a learnings from the 6G workshop, there is a quite diverse view in terms of potential technical topics that needs to be studied, right? Also in terms of 6G core network design, because there are views which are more revolutionary in nature, but then there are also somewhat, not, not that revolutionary, but saying that there should be evolutionary track from the 5G core to 6G. And all those would require kind of a good scope study for 6G that can be completed within the given time frame for and that is going to be a very important discussion. And the expectation is we will have an approved 6G study for SA2 in June plenary. And that's again requires quite intensive discussions, and interested parties should get together in the spirit of making sure that if we are necessary to compromise and make this study as a successful. One last point I want to highlight here is that not everything we will be able to study, right? As you can know that there would be a limited time frame, and we have to make sure that the essential items make it on the day one support for 6G, but essentially there will be a second phase or next generation. So it should not be seen as if it doesn't make it into this first part of the specification, it's an end of the road, but it's all about making sure that we have a overall system that is well suited for first series of deployments. But then additional feature obviously will be developed, in the next releases. Yeah.
So the way I can hear it is that you as the chair will have a very challenging time to lead the discussion. So on 5G advanced, as the decisions need to be made on that one, and then clearly making the scope for the 6G study. So all I can do is to wish you a lot of wisdom and very good nerves, and for us, let's be part of those studies and in a very cooperative way contribute what we can in order to on one side make the 5G advanced as good as it can be, and carry our responsibility also for 6G as far as we can. So I suppose there's still, like always, plenty of work to be done, but also it's very exciting times.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, a lot of work needs to be done, and I really invite everybody to come together with a collaborative spirit and work together to basically march on the first step of 6G specification developments.
Thank you, Pune, very much. And with this note, let's study those drafts and bring in our contributions. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.